G'day, Starlo here. Recently I did a brief review of the new series of Shimano Vanford reels known as the FA series. These are an upgrade on the previous Vanfords, which were themselves an upgrade on the old Stratic CI4s that were an immensely popular reel for many years. I've been using Vanfords myself for a couple of seasons now, and for me they tick all the boxes. They're smooth, they're tough, they're reliable, they're trouble-free, and above all, they're not ridiculously expensive. I reckon they're really good value for money. As I explained in that earlier episode, the new FAs have taken a good thing and effectively made it even better. These new Vanfords incorporate a bunch of trickle-down features from Shimano's top-of-the-line Stellars. Things like that anti-twist fin under the bail roller that virtually eliminates loose loops of line. They've also got an upgraded drag system and some really classy refinements to the gearing and the drivetrain that make them feel like a much pricier reel. They're also even lighter than before, especially in the rotor head. This means they start and stop faster and turn with minimal effort, which can be really important over the course of a long fishing session. Instant start up and stopping is also critical when presenting lures to sighted fish, either visually or on a forward-facing sonar screen. The control that these reels give you is next level. But I mentioned at the end of that earlier Vanford FA review that the real clincher for me, pardon the pun, was the inclusion of a 500 size reel in the new lineup. Shimano Japan have actually made 500s in a few of their ranges over the years, although for whatever reason none have officially been brought into Australia to be sold, although I'm sure a few people have mail ordered them from overseas. I absolutely love my 1000 size spinning reels, so when I heard that there was a 500 in this new Vanford range, I got pretty excited. And now I've actually been able to get my hands on one of the new 500s. I haven't even opened it yet. The seal on the box hasn't been cut. I've been saving it to share with you in an unboxing. And that's what we're going to do right now. I'm as excited as a kid on Christmas morning, I've got to tell you. Oh, but first, I better read the stats here on the end of the box. And I don't know whose idea it was to print in black on dark grey, but they're really hard to read. I'm definitely going to need my glasses for this. All right, let's get into it. Wow, I'm really struggling here. Oh yeah. Okay, it tells me that this 500 has a gear ratio of 5.6 to 1 and a maximum drag setting of 2.5 kilos or 6 pounds, which admittedly isn't a lot compared to the bigger Vanfords, but I'd say it's plenty for a reel of this size. After all, if you work on a drag setting of around a third of the breaking strain, that means you could effectively fish 20-pound line off this reel, and I doubt many people will want to do that. Getting back to those specs, here's the all-important weight, and it's just 140 grams or 4.9 ounces. Geez, I sometimes use lures that are heavier than that, although not on a reel this size. Okay, there are 6+1 bearings. In other words, 6 ball bearings and 1 roller bearing. And when the spool of the reel is full of line, it retrieves 69 centimetres or 27 inches per handle turn, which is not too bad for such a small reel. And down here we've got the all-important line capacity information, which I'm always a little bit doubtful about. For starters, they only give you info on nylon mono in terms of both rated breaking strain and diameter. Oh, and there's a number here, which must be a Japanese thing. Anyway, it tells me that the 500 will hold 100 yards of 4-pound mono, or 110 metres of a mono with a diameter of 0.2 millimetres, which again is a bit confusing because most premium 4-pound monofilaments are thinner than 0.2 millimetres. Go figure. I'm guessing that I might be able to squeeze about 150 yards of the finest braid that I can find onto this little spool, and that should be plenty for most of the styles of fishing that I'm doing, unless I hook something really big, then I might be in strife. Okay, that's enough stats. Let's cut the seal and dive into the box. There we go. So I'll open the lid, and as I've been noting with most of the new Shimanos, or all of the new Shimanos actually, they're all about cardboard in the packaging now. They're trying to do away with as much plastic as they possibly can, and that's great. I'll lift up this cardboard flap, and Of course, the first thing I can see is all the paperwork. I'll pull that out. There it is, an exploded view of the Vanford 500, all the parts, and they're all numbered and they're listed on here. And there's also the 10-year warranty info. That's important. But what's more important is in the box. So I'm going to put that aside and dive in. And the handle's held under a little flap of cardboard here, which I will lift up, and out comes the tiny little handle. Look at that, it's beautiful. And of course it's one of those screw-in handles. It's not one of the post and hole jobs. That's a hallmark of a good quality reel as far as I'm concerned. And I wonder how small this thing is really going to be. Alright, I'm not going to pull the reel out yet. The usual, we get the spacer shims. These are little washers that you can put in behind the spool if you're not happy with the profile of your line load when you spool up. I'll put those aside. And here we go. Out comes the 500. Look how small it is. Oh, again, set up for right-hand wind, and I certainly wouldn't be cranking a little spinning reel like that with my right hand. I'm right-handed, so I prefer to wind it with my non-dominant hand. So in goes the handle, make sure it engages, wind it in. You always just crank as if you were cranking the reel and hold the rotor head there to tighten it up. Just firmly, no need to be ridiculous about it, and don't forget to put the cap back on the other side. And again, finger tight, don't use pliers. You can get it pretty tight with your fingers. Oh, look at that thing. It's a little gem. It is significantly smaller than a 1000 size spinning reel. I'll put it alongside a 1000 in a minute and give you a bit of a comparison, but I can tell you now, look at that compared to my hand. That is one small reel. And light, 140 grams, it's nothing. Smooth and quiet as you'd expect from any of the new Vanfords. Easy start up. I must say it keeps spinning a little bit longer than I would have thought, but I guess in relation to the size of the reel, the rotor's not as light as it would be on, say, a 2500 or a 4000 or whatever, where they make a big thing out of how quickly they stop when you stop winding. It's going to be less critical on a little 1000 size reel anyway. It's more important that it's just lovely and smooth, and it sure is. Can't wait to spool it up and get it out there and give it a go. And I guess it begs the question, what the heck do you want a spinning reel that small for? Well, straight off the bat, I can think about spinning for trout, especially in little streams, throwing small lures on one of those really ultra light little flick rods that's only about 6 or 6.5 foot long. This would sit beautifully with that, and that's what I'm going to be doing a lot of when the trout season opens in a month or two from now. I'll be using this reel a heck of a lot on trout, but also I'm going to go out and chase brim on it, whiting, flathead. Yeah, sure, I could get myself into strife if I hooked, say, a school Jew or a rat king while I'm targeting those fish. I might find myself running out of line fairly quickly, but you know, it's a risk that I'm willing to take to fish with a little gem like this. For me, the diminutive size and minimal weight of this little reel makes it the ultimate finesse fishing tool, the ideal weapon to use with either ultrafine braid, which is what I'm going to put on here, or fine mono. You could use 1, 2, even 3 kilo mono on this as well, and it'd perform really well. I'll let you know how it performs because I'm going to be getting out there straight away and using this, and I'll do a follow-up video once I've caught a few fish on it and show you it in action. But right now, I am one happy camper. I've been waiting a long time to get my hands on a 500 size spinning reel. Listen, if you've enjoyed this review, please give me a thumbs up down below, and if you don't already subscribe to the channel, jump on and do so. It only takes one click, and it really helps me to get my subscriber numbers up and make the algorithm happy so that more people get to see my YouTube videos. Also, if you want to help me to make more videos in future, shout me a beer or buy me a coffee. It's easy to do. I'll put the link down below, and for $5 you can pay for some fuel for me to put in my car or boat and travel somewhere and produce some content like this for you. But you don't have to. I'm giving it to you anyway, but I'd love it if you shouted me a beer. Anyway, until next time, this is Starlo wishing you tight lines. By the way, if the new Shimano Vanfords are still a bit outside your price range, check out these 2 earlier reviews I did of some really affordable Shimano gear. I reckon you'll like them.